Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LANCESCURV. Once again, if you don't see us on social media, you can find us on LANCESCURV.com. 23 years worth of work. And you can also find us on various podcast platforms. We are on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, TuneIn, and CastBox. The same shows that you hear here, after they're completed, they'll go up on these other podcasting platforms. All you have to do is go there and search it, and you'll find us there. So we have a story that I have to basically give a disclaimer to YouTube, since they have humans and artificial intelligence scouring through their content. They can make a mistake sometime. So in order, if they take this video down, I have to say it officially so they can see it and they can hear it. So when I appeal it ahead of time, you got to walk careful. They'll know. There's a story out here circulating that is not real. I am not circulating a story that is false or fake. I'm merely commenting on it for my own reasons, and you'll understand why. It's something that has gone viral, and many on social media platforms have run with it without checking out to see if it's real or not. But I have another twist to speaking about this, but I'm not trying to perpetrate a story that is not real. It's about New York State and this thought that they're trying to bring into law quarantining people if they're sick. It's not true. From what I found out, it's not true. That's embarrassing to go run with a story and it's not real. But I have my opinions about why this story went viral. But let me bring to you the facts. I'm going to read off an article from Forbes.com. I'm going to have the article on LANCESCURV.com, and later on, I'll drop it in the comment section and the chat room. Okay. I just want to welcome a few people on in, and let me see. Only one here out of 15 is Yvonne. Good day. I'm glad you're here. I will not be focusing on the chat room as I flow. This may not be a long one, and sometimes it is. Let's just see how it goes. So we're live now, and I know on the East Coast, it must be 6 a.m. in the morning. You never know when I'm going to go live. Rapid fire. There are a lot of good things coming up, a lot of good surprises coming up in the next few weeks, and I'm looking forward to all of them. And I am enthusiastic, and this platform is going strong. It was predicted by some wise people that it would die. Well, hey, that's what you say. Anyway, the title of this article is Viral Videos Falsely Claim New York Setting Up Quarantine Camps for the C-19. Don't want to say the whole word out. I'm going to say the title again. Viral Videos Falsely Claim New York Setting Up Quarantine Camps for C-19. I heard it, and I was like, are you serious? Before I investigated it, there were some reputable YouTubers that put it out there. Okay, here is the article. Have you seen the videos claiming New York is setting up quarantine camps to forcibly detain people who may have C-19? It's an incredibly popular topic right now across several social media platforms like TikTok and Facebook, but it's simply not true. You hear that, YouTube? Simply not true. I'm not pushing this story as truth. I'm telling you it's simply not true. Well, why am I talking about it? Let me just finish the article. The claim that New York wants to set up quarantine camps is actually an old one that dates to the earliest days of the C-19 pandemic in 2020. But the claim has seen new life this year, with rumors starting in March of 2023 that New York Governor Kathy Hochul, I think that's how you pronounce the name, was prepared to imprison you if you're just suspected of being exposed to a disease. Fast forward to this week, and videos started spreading on TikTok and Twitter, racking up millions of views with incredibly dubious claims. What is going on in New York? Camps? Really? I can't believe we're still dealing with this. Please watch and share. One Twitter account called Tony TM tweeted on Wednesday along with a video. The unnamed woman in the video explains that the city of New York had a hearing about quarantine camps, basically where they can come into your home completely unprovoked and take your children. The woman is seen crying in the video and saying that while she's not concerned about herself, she's scared for her 3 kids. A real tearjerker. In reality, there is a kernel of truth in this viral meme because there was an important court case happening in Rochester, New York on Wednesday, but not like the woman in the video suggests. The hearing was an appeal of a legal case brought by Republican politicians in New York about public health orders. The case is entirely an academic exercise at this point because nobody is forcing anyone into C-19 quarantine camps. New York State politicians brought a lawsuit under the group name Uniting NYS, meaning New York State, arguing that state laws give the government too much power under health emergency orders to force people into quarantine. The group won their lawsuit back in July at the New York Supreme Court, but the state has appealed the decision, and oral arguments for that appeal were Wednesday. The arguments are available in their entirety on YouTube. The PolitiFact notes, I guess that's another website, every state in the country has similar laws that allow the state to force people into quarantine, something that's typically done in their own home. But the legal arguments being made this week are being taken out of context to argue that New York is on the cusp of building concentration camps for everyday Americans. That's not true, despite what you may have heard on TikTok. If this thing goes through and you're on their list to be taken, they come to your home. It could be in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. They take you out to their car, no questions asked. Another TikTok user claimed, insisting that it could be little children taken away in the dead of night. New York's local 10 news station also ran a fact check about these claims back in July of 2022, explaining there are no plans for quarantine or COVID camps. In short, yes, there is a legal case that has been brought about proper role of government in managing infectious disease outbreaks. But no, New York is not building quarantine camps for people with C-19. We all lived through the worst of the pandemic, and C-19 is a disease, or as a disease, never really went away. Sadly, people are still dying from the airborne illness, and it's certainly a tragedy. But the pendulum of fear and calculated risk swung wildly back and forth over the past 3 years, and very few people are on board with forcibly detaining anyone, even in the face of mass death. To date, roughly 1.14 million Americans have died of C-19, according to the CDC, and hospitalizations are up 8.7% over the previous week, while deaths are up 4.5%. But there aren't quarantine camps, and New York has no plans to build them as far as the publicly available record can show. End of article. That's an article that I read. That's not me saying it, YouTube. So don't come after this video, because we're going to have problems then, because I ain't going to back down. But I want to say this. When I created this banner with this little boy, with bars around him, and an American flag, it was seriously similar to what we have gone through in this country, America, but in a different way. So by this story going out there and going viral, with all of the claims being false, to us as a people, it's a very much real thing. Why didn't I put a grown man in this cell? quarantine. No, I put a little boy, not knowing why he's there. Maybe he sneezed in the school. That is, if this thing was to happen. But since I proved that it's not reality, it doesn't mean that our minds, and this part is my opinion, YouTube, just listen. It doesn't mean our minds are not being seasoned for more. We've seen in the past how things are suggested to us. Now, understand I have to speak in a very coded fashion, but you can see the results of this mental mind, FUCK, on us as a people, and how it's manifesting behavior that is not usually ours. They have certain communities out here who have great power over us. Isn't that rainbow pretty over there? Hint, hint, hint. I'm looking at the sky, YouTube. Pretty rainbow over there. Natural thing. But, excuse me. But they have many communities out here who have benefited from the mental agenda on our minds to normalize something that was once considered back in 1973 when they put it off the books that it was a mental illness. What happened? So the media attack on our minds to always include actors and actresses of that persuasion, when in actuality, their actual numbers as far as the population are in single digit numbers as far as what we know, but we don't know what people do behind closed doors. Now, this has nothing to do with quarantining people, but preparing our minds of the possibility of it is what bothers me. For a story to go viral like this and be allowed to go viral like this, when for speaking of the truth on social media platforms, you're shut down immediately. So my question is, and why I did this particular video on this topic, is why was it allowed to go viral as it had? Are you conditioning our minds for the future for when you need to do this? It's not real. They say there are no plans for quarantining people. But why are you allowing, when you know you have artificial intelligence out there scouring each platform to make sure that we stay politically correct? And it's allowed to go viral. To me, it's a seasoning of the mind. I said nothing wrong. That is my opinion. Because our minds are being prepared for more. I've said this on many videos and wrote it in many articles before. I see it. I got nothing but time to see the junk that they pull over our eyes. Once again, quarantining is not real. It was a fake story. But it was allowed to go viral. That's my problem. Are we going to see this in movies? Are we going to see this suggested in other videos that are allowed to be put up there, that are allowed to go viral? You know, they can have a movie about something like this and it becomes very real. And we go thinking, they said it's not real. They said it's not going to go down like that. But look, who would have thought? What is his name? DeSantis in Florida doesn't want anything written about Black history in the colleges. That's a historical quarantine. But we don't connect the dots and say, hey, why are you erasing? Speaking about the history, critical race theory of an entire people that built the country. You want to erase it. Huh? But nobody says anything about it. Yes, some people have said things about that. But this is crucial. Because you best believe that if there came a time where people were quarantined, guess who it's going to be? Guess who it's going to be? Look at that face right there. Now, this is my opinion, but they want us put away. Why do you think, with the mental mind, FUCK, that they do to us every day, for our women to be put up there like playthings, ignorant, low vibrational playthings that may physically look good in a way that you should only see in a bedroom with your husband or your mate. The human body is a beautiful thing, and they use our attraction to it and the attraction of many other races of men to it because it comes so easy. So when we put the men out there as thugs, as criminals, as deviants, oh, that's a pretty rainbow out there. I didn't say anything about anybody. I'm just talking about the rainbow I see out there. It rained all day yesterday. Hint, hint. As deviants, then there's no use for us. Like I always say before, have you ever purchased a tool from a home improvement center? And for those who are not in America, we got them called Lowe's and Home Depot and some other ones, smaller. Ace is the place. And so we get the tool for the job. It's a job we're doing at home, and it's a home improvement job, a small job, not anything major, but enough that we go out and get a specific tool to complete the task. Well, guess what? Someone landed in America. Someone stole the land from the people who were there. How do you go and discover something that's already inhabited? That's like me coming over to your house or your apartment and saying, I discovered this. This is mine. I claim this for the SCURVs. And begin to eliminate you, delete you from this life and have no second thought about it. And then we go and get the tool. We come out to the motherland. Many dispute it, many are in denial, but we are people of the earth. The whole planet is Africa. So even if you want to get into a debate and say, oh, no, we're from here in America and they brought us over there and they brought us back. What kind of foolishness is that? But if you want to argue that and say that, and I won't argue, the whole planet is Africa. So that kills your story right there. So wherever we were, even if we were already in America as planetary Africans, that joker got us to go and work the land for him. So no matter where we come from in the world, somebody came and took it over, raped, robbed, and stole, and raised hell. That doesn't exempt you from your time singing them Negro spirituals while you are bent over picking cotton for massa and bent over receiving something from the backside from massa. Stop the fighting and the infighting. So as that tool that you get from Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace or any home improvement center, after you finish the job, what do? You put the tool down. It was brought or purchased for a specific task. And that specific task is completed now. Now what are you going to do with the tool? Well, America is built up. The specific task of using melanated skin and energy and power and force for hundreds of years to build you up. It's complete now. And like that tool that has no purpose, you want to get rid of it. Maybe you bring it back to Home Depot and see if you can get it returned like many people do, get their money back. Maybe you just give it away to a neighbor. Maybe it collects dust and eventually, since you don't have that to do anymore, as far as that task in your home, you throw it away. You throw it away. That's right, NFN Shaka, planet Africa. Don't be fooled, people. We're all over the planet, so that just kills that argument. The infighting that's stoked by these agents. FBA, ADOS, I'm indigenous, let's fight. Let's not look at the common enemy. We're paid well here on YouTube and social media to keep separation. I'm FBA and you're Caribbean, you're different. You're from the motherland, you're different. What kind of, look, melanated skin, wherever it is, we're the oldest people on the planet. So what do you have, some kind of mental ability to be able to tell with DNA? So what? So what? We're all over the place. This is like Christians fighting in religion. Well, I don't go to no Methodist church. They don't worship the right way because I'm Baptist. Well, I don't go to no Baptist church. I'm Pentecostal. We just let the Holy Spirit rule. I'm an African Episcopalian, and we're anal retentive here in how we worship. Shut up. If we're not split up on a political level, on a religious level, on a status level, I know the secret handshakes in this secret group and you don't. You don't think they're coming for you? You might get away from a ticket when they pull you over and you throw a little something, and let them know what the hocus pocus, what you're into. But when they start deleting people with their weaponry, because America is infested with guns, I bet you before another 2 weeks go by, there's going to be a mass shooting. Do I want that to happen? No, I don't want that to happen. But look at the statistics. Even when they don't tell you about it, things are happening. So we are the tool that's used and not needed anymore. So we're in the media. They give us no problems on social media platforms with video of us acting a fool, arguing against each other, because that's where they want to steer our minds. So Quaranteed by Force is not just about a false story that went viral, which we already understood that by the article that I wrote. But as we absorb the filth that flows so freely, our minds are quarantined by force, because we've been bombarded. The little young boy here, little young girls, they see the teenagers acting a fool and they're absorbing that. And they have their little phone where they can look at YouTube or go into the computer or a tablet. They get exposed to this stuff. So when a little boy sees a teenage girl or a grown woman shaking her behind, sucking on pieces of candy to simulate you know what, and don't let them run into porn, they're really going to get messed up and get imprinted with something too early that they're emotionally developed for to understand what it is. See, we're adults. We can get into our stuff behind closed doors. We all freaks behind closed doors. But why does it have to come out to the public and force this stuff on the minds of our youth? So, are we being prepared for something in the future? For another reason to be quarantined, especially when we know what I heard. I have to say it that way. I have to say, I don't know this is a fact, but I heard this. I'm not reporting on something as though I know it. It's my opinion, but I heard this, and we're using it our imaginations, YouTube. So don't come at me. I'm not scared of you. Don't come with the BS. They say in biological warfare that they can engineer biological weapons against a certain race because of their DNA and the way they're made down to the basic level. So we can engineer something to specifically go after a particular race. They're so far advanced with the things they're looking to do. So if I can say that, using my imagination and sharing my opinion, why don't you quarantine Bill Gates for saying the bullshit that he says about blocking out the sun? Who would want to block out the sun unless the sun doesn't benefit them? If the sun doesn't benefit them, they're not of this realm. They're not of this planet. He's not even a medical guy, but he can say these things. Sit up on panels and come to Africa, and we got these fools out here who are melanated, and because he's a white man, come up with an idea that is destructive toward their very existence. What do? Yes, Bill Gates, I want to take a picture with him. He is a great man. Because he got money. Are you a whore for money like that bad? To understand what role they play, that they can say these things publicly and nobody comes up to question? None of the people that look like him come against him because they move on code. And I'm going to say it again, what was shared with me as far as a thought about us. If you're on the show, you heard this yesterday or last night. That black people, African people, melanated people, oh, don't say the word black in the black law. Shut up. We got the common enemy. You want to come and teach something? I know what you mean. But I'm going to go now and not listen to James Brown's song. What was it, back in 1968? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Limp, limp. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Limp, limp. That's what I got to do now. Say it loud. I'm indigenous and I'm proud. Well, if you are, you can say that. But we are indigenous to the planet. Say it loud. I'm ADOS and FBA and I'm proud. You dummies. By having all these terms and categories, it separates us. Black people are the most separated people on the face of the earth. That's why we can never unify. But the quote that was given to me and the whole story, I'm going to just leave it anonymous. But she told me, black people are always unified in their trauma. Black people are always unified in their dysfunction and pain. Oh, they'll go protest and march and try to burn stuff down. But as soon as one of them becomes successful, they don't know nothing about the movement now. They don't know nothing about being unified now. I got mine, you got to get yours. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. See? Listen, I've asked everybody who listens, what is the percentage of those of us who are really with it? Not the ones who talk it. We all can fall into the trance and talk this righteous black talk. But who's really living it? Who's really about it? Who's really ready to sacrifice? I don't say wake up anymore. Most of us are sleeping in a dream world and plan no action for their lives to elevate themselves so they can elevate their offspring, elevate their children, elevate the community and the world. It's all about getting the enemy's baubles and trinkets and rubies. Our minds are quarantined by force. As long as you're sucking from the decadent nipple of social media on the bad side, we got good things out here. But they design things to become so appealing to the minds of us of all ages, and especially those who are young, like the young man's face in the picture. So if you see how the world has changed, haven't you noticed how the world has changed? I mean, if you're 10 years old, you can't tell me nothing about knowing how the world has changed because you're not there yet. And it's not an age thing. But the older you are, as far as the chronological age is concerned, you have to admit that even if you still have the crust in the corner of your psychological eye and can't see it all, you have to say that this vibration has changed greatly of this planet. We are walking zombies, disconnected, no feeling, no smiles given freely unless we're trying to angle somebody and get something out of somebody. Young lady the other day, I won't put her name out there and blow her up, but I said, when things happen to me, I'm going to talk about it. I don't care if she listens or not. Young waitress, one of the restaurants out here, won't say where, always serviced us, always got a tip, but came to me one day and said, listen, I'd like to know, you're new here, but I know you're kind of a mover and shaker and you know a lot of people. I'm looking for extra work, no matter what it is. If anything comes up that you see that I can do, I don't have great skills in any type of area of expertise, but, little house cleaning, doing little things around the house or helping out this way or that way. It could be something a little heavier as far as work is concerned. It doesn't matter. I need the money. I said, okay, sister, here's my card. Keep in contact. And if I do, I probably won't because I have tunnel vision with what I'm doing now. So I'm not out and about like other people. But if I do, shoot me a number and I'll lock it in and I'll put next to your name, work. Beautiful. We'll do that. So I would see her every now and then when I would go to the restaurant. And then one day I didn't see her anymore. Months went by and I saw her in the street. She says, I'm working somewhere else. I'm not there anymore. Yeah, the circulation is that way. But she remembered me, and I said, I didn't forget you as far as the work is concerned. Could you please hold on for a second? Let me take a sip of this water. Nothing beats it. So she knows I'm on social media, and I'm everywhere. I'm on certain things that have turned into other things. I remember, what is the one here? Years ago. Okay, I was on Black Planet. I had 352,000 followers before YouTube even existed. I killed that page. Why? Because it became a booty call site. I'm saying it because people say it that way. We know booty means stolen goods, taken by force. We call our women booty because we're a defeated race. That's what we're saying. Look up the word booty if you get mad at me. B-O-O-T-Y. Go in your dictionary and look up booty. I have to keep saying it on every show because I get cussed out. They never do it in the comment section. They always come to me privately in the email or a text message and cuss me out. I'm going to start screenshotting these things and showing them. Right? So I'm everywhere. I was on Black Planet, which is now basically that. Greatly reduced. It used to be a platform that was very cultural. People can vibe, the poetry, all the good stuff. It had a little kind of like booty call side, but like 5%. But we had real Black people on Black Planet. What happened to it? I was on that. I have another page I don't even go to. Okay. Then they had this one called Tagged. I was on everything. I didn't realize that was a pickup site. I put my profile and everything, and people, yo, SCURV, man, what you doing on Tag, man? I said, what's wrong with that? I distribute my content. Nah, man, well, you know, I said, it's on, I don't care. You think that about me? You think that's what I'm doing? Go ahead and think that. So you're everywhere. So she added me on Snapchat. And I see the name that she uses online. I know her real name. I said, okay. Look, I don't even know who's connected to me on Snapchat. LANCESCURV on Snap. If you're there, go ahead and add me in. Send a request. So, okay, boom. Time goes by. All of a sudden, I get a hello, and I look in the phone, and it's her. And she tells me, I'm not going to get too specific in her situation. Still, I'm going to respect her. She had a goal to accomplish as far as making money. And I said to myself, okay, she's probably asking for work. I got to tell her I haven't run across anything. So she says, I have a real request for this and I need this money bad. I said, well, listen, I can't help you right now, but I hope you find some work. And maybe I'll put the word out there, but I don't have the reach in Ghana that I do in America. There's a lot of people more and more that know me, but I don't have that kind of reach. She'd probably network with friends and get a better reach. So anyway, I put the phone down and I get on the computer and I'm doing something with the graphics, very tedious. I like to answer my calls right away. I like to answer messages back right away. But sometimes, if I'm in the shower, I'm not gonna be able to do that right away. If I walk out the room for a second, maybe 5 minutes, and maybe I have to go in the backyard and do something. It may be a few minutes before I get back to you. So I left the room, came back, and I see like 8 Snapchat photos and videos. So I said, okay, let me see. It's from her. Okay, let me open this up. What did I see? Homegirl was on the bed, spread eagle, with nothing on. And then she had some little scarlet, something draped down the backside and showing me the motion. And there was no secret to what I saw. This was yesterday, y'all. And I scrolled through. Yeah, I looked. Not at a, let me get the Vaseline. Oh, this is good. No, I'm looking. And it got worse and worse and worse. And what she did with that banana and 2 of the 3 orifices was unbelievable. Then she began to tell me how much she charges. And I told her, I said, listen, I said, we don't get down like that over here. And I had to block her. You see what I mean? Like, we believe after a while, women and men, Black women and men, not all of us, but those who have a quarantine mind to think on a limited level that all you have to offer is your body. All you have to offer is sexual gratification on a low vibrational level. So when they speak about the quarantine, we got to realize that so many of us are already quarantined. And I like to always keep things straight. Let me look for the definition of quarantine, to be straight with these things. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's do a Google search. Okay. I spelled it wrong. I was distracted for a second. I saw a bee by the window so huge, I thought he was inside here. Okay. Let me see for the definition. What is the meaning of the word quarantine? To stay away from others for a period of time because you have a disease or may have one in order to prevent the spread of disease. And then they have an example. All international arrivals, regardless of where they are from, must quarantine upon arrival. And so they have different definitions going deeper into the word quarantine, but that's basically it. And so to say it again and to make another point, to stay away from others for a period of time because you have a disease or may have one in order to prevent the spread of a disease. Let's go a little deeper. How many people watch us on social media and on TV and these porn videos and whatever it is, the ratchet stuff, and they get a thrill from that? Because see, y'all are over there. You're not in their communities with that stuff. They laugh and they love it. See, these other people know us better than we know ourselves. And they love to see us in our decadence acting out in a way that is not high vibrational. When you're high vibrational and you have something of note to say on a cerebral level that teaches people to walk more upright. Oh, it's going to be hard to get that information out. And you become a threat to how they want us to be. And they say to stay away from others for a period of time because you have a disease. Aren't we diseased mentally? Or may have one in order to prevent the spread of the disease. So they quarantine us in the hoods. God didn't make no hood. We did. They made the conditions for us to germinate, to metamorphosize into this kind of behavior. That's why they call it projects. It's a project. Let's see if we can work on this project to alter the behavior of Black people who are confined to a certain geographical space. Well, is there an invisible electric fence to have us quarantine this way? No, the mental quarantining of our minds keeps us there. Also, when we do have an opportunity to leave the so-called hoods, I hate to say it that way as far as hoods, because I don't condone that, because they can quickly gentrify a neighborhood and change it into paradise on earth. It'll take a little time, but give it 20 years and you come back to that neighborhood and you can't even afford to live there. Hell, you can't even go into their little Starbucks in that neighborhood or their little Whole Foods. You can't. They look at you funny. What are you doing here? But 20 years before, they were scared to come there because they know how you were acting And there are different forces that keep you quarantined to that neighborhood because they keep you out of a good job. They'll have the good job so far away, it's not worth the commute on public transportation for 2 hours to get there. And if you try to, it burns you out. And you're spending so much money on fare and food and don't have children that have to come and pick them up from the daycare. It's a good job, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I ain't going to get no sleep. I'm going to get back to the daycare late. You know, they charge them late fees. Got to cook and clean. So they have the cheaper job that pays less close by. But you only make a certain amount of money with that, so you can only afford a certain type of apartment in the hood. This is all by design. When I was in America working, I'm like, wait a second. It was like a magic power. As soon as I did a little overtime and worked it, I quickly realized that he ain't my uncle, but I'm going to say it this way. Uncle Sam took his cut. So he's pimping me. So the more I work is the more he gets and the less I get, even when it's a little more than what I usually get. Is it worth it to do all those hours? And I ain't getting nowhere. So you got to outslick the system, but they watch you now and things are rough. So you're stuck. And you're not really stuck. I'm not saying this to discourage anybody, but you better be using 100% of your brain to beat the system. And if you beat it, you're suspect by your own people. What is he doing to get all that money? They're mentally quarantined to believe that they cannot do anything more than the menial work that they're allowed to do. See, you can't be a doctor. Now, I'm not saying you can't be. I'm saying in the minds of those that don't look like us. You can't be a doctor and drive a nice car because you'll be pulled over as you leave the affluent neighborhood to your own neighborhood, whether it be affluent or average or middle class. Cops want to know, why is this black woman or black man driving this nice car? Rough you up, talk to you disrespectful, trying to insinuate that you're selling drugs. But if you are a person walking through one of their neighborhoods and it's 5 o'clock, time to come home, and you have a construction belt on with a hammer and maybe a drill or a couple screwdrivers, and you got a yellow hard hat on with a vest and looks like you're doing construction. Oh, that's just the niggas going home. He's doing his menial work. If you're a babysitter or a housekeeper in one of their neighborhoods, it's okay. But don't roll up in something that they wish they had. Even they're mentally quarantined to think of us a certain way. So while we're thinking of one type of quarantine from a fake story, the real quarantine is going on in our everyday lives. Now, you know you have well-meaning people in your family, and most of our families are dysfunctional or suffer some level of dysfunction. So what's the story with that? You might say to an aunt who worked hard all her life, maybe working in the hospital, which is no problem, but she did menial work and didn't get paid like the doctors. So she was stuck into that, that whole system. And the way of thinking, well, it just pays me. I ain't going to try to do nothing no more. Mental quarantine. So you now say that you want to go to medical school. You're very young. You say you want to be a doctor in certain areas. Maybe it's a heart specialist. Maybe it's something that deals with the respiratory. The doctor doesn't mean you do everything. So you don't know what you'll get when you say, is there a doctor in the house? This man's having a heart attack. Yeah, well, I'm a doctor, but I deal in brain function, so he's screwed. You know what I mean? But in the movies, there's always somebody who can take care of that problem. There's always a doctor. But that aunt will say, you want to go to medical school? Why you want to go to medical school, baby? You can go get hired on the job I do. I've been there 30 years. Oh, baby, just move that little bucket over there. We got a leak in the roof. Just catch the water over there. And the screen ain't up, so put the duct tape around the window so the mosquitoes don't come in. She's not even living as she should. You give a job 30 years, mentally quarantined. Like Mike Tyson said to that big guy, sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract. And we signed the contract of mediocrity to make somebody else feel okay that we're not a threat. We don't go higher. And this is why you got to shake people off in your life that are mentally quarantined, that will just discourage you in every step of the way because they don't believe and know in themselves and the seeds of greatness that they have on the inside. Quarantine. Viral story. That's a fake story. But the mental quarantining that we go through is very much real because we're stuck in a space and we can't get out. The story said that the video went viral because they were saying that, yes, young children could be snatched from their parents' homes 3 a.m. and taken away. What a terrible scenario. A lot of us are running around in panic because of this foolishness. But how many young kids right now are safe at home, so you think, but they're absorbing something that will change their thinking and quarantine them to filth, quarantine them to perversion, quarantine them to ignorance, self-doubt, low self-esteem, and you give it to them. Baby, I got a present for you. What's that, mommy? I got you an iPhone. I got you a Samsung phone. I got you a computer, a PC, an Apple. Go ahead and have fun. When those should be quarantined in their use, only to learn and to teach, because again, I'll say it, I'm not going to demonize the internet, but you better be careful what your children are looking at. And this is why I have a little boy in this banner. That's why. So we have all this fear. Oh my God, they're saying this in New York. It's going to be, well, they're going to quarantine us so we get a sickness. You sneeze in class, baby. Don't sneeze in the class. If you feel like you're going to sneeze, get up and run out the classroom because they may take you away from me. But they're getting us prepared for the thought of that, getting our minds ready for the thought of it. Was 911 a movie? No, it was real, Jack. It was real. With the whole alien talk, they're massaging our brains. Yes, the government says that there has been alien contact. And we're not even thinking about that. They're doing things right now. We're so distracted. Huh? Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, P. Diddy right now, getting all, what? Bill Cosby did a little time for things that he did with women who were cool with it. They consented. They were trying to say that they saw him as this big, rich black man, Bill Cosby, back in the 60s. He wasn't even Bill Cosby yet. He was Bill Cosby, but he wasn't the Bill Cosby we know now. They say he had oil on his property and he wanted to buy NBC. He was not mentally quarantined. He was not. He may have said a few things in a way that was not too cool about us pulling our pants up, which is the truth, but the way he said it. But look at what he's done for us, whether you like it or not. The quality of the Cosby Show when he put it out in the 80s. A doctor and his wife and family. Living affluent. Giving you something to shoot for, to see that it's a possibility. Not no boys in the hood type stuff. Not no homoerotic type stuff. Ushering us into decadence. Why can't we shoot higher? Why is it a time for us to want higher for our children and ourselves? I'm 60 years old and I know my best days are ahead of me. I done cleaned a whole lot of house. I done pushed a whole lot of people that's had foolishness to say. I'm not doing that no more. And I'm promoting me. And only those who are about putting that work in a sincere way and not a fraudulent way. I have a lot of frauds before on this platform. Mentally quarantined and me being nice. Well, I let them on it. No more. No more. That grace period is gone. I put too much work into this. I will not allow myself to be mentally quarantined or be around people who are. If you have those limitations, you might not reach the goal, but try to reach. You get up on a stool to reach the top shelf, the top cupboard in your kitchen or your pantry. You're reaching for it. That can of Campbell's soup way up on the top. You realize that as much as you stretch, you still can't get it. What do? You get another stool or a step ladder and come back with just as much determination to reach that can of Campbell's soup. And in reaching for it, you get to see what's on the other shelves that you couldn't see when you were standing on the ground. You see new possibilities. Well, I saw the Campbell's soup on the edge. DRN, much love to you. I'm glad you're here. And I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know I was going to go this deep, but that's how I like to do it. Because I'm in a deep state of meditation 24/7. Self-inflicted isolation just for the purpose to be able to flow like this. I'm just a tool. I'm just sharing downloads. But thank you. And all those who are listening silently. This is an empty chat room with the people who are here powerful. So you don't need 1 million people by your side. But you reach for the top shelf and you get that step ladder, and now you get the can of Campbell's soup, and then you see something on the shelf below it that you couldn't still see. And you said, oh, I got some gluten-free brown rice pasta here. Oh, good. I got some non-GMO pasta sauce here. So I can make a nice meal. Hell, I'm putting that Campbell's soup back. I see something else. So when you reach in life for something higher, because whatever level you're on, there's a level above it. And that level you're on will afford you to be able to get to that next level. People driving the bus or working in corrections. When I worked in corrections, either one of those two jobs, and I've worked lots of other jobs. Oh God, I forgot how many jobs I've worked. But when I was driving the bus, and people who are working jobs that may have earned less than me hourly were putting me down. Oh, you ain't nothing but a bus driver. That's all you can do is drive the bus. Hey, your job doesn't define you. That's what you do to get the paper to pay the bills, but your mind should be somewhere else. Your mind should not be mentally quarantined to that job. No matter how much it pays, there's always something better. Now, I'm not saying to leave the job. Hold on to it, but have your mind free to set up something that you have learned while on that level that will take you to the next level. So I was a bus driver, but I drove to the tourist areas. And there were lots of traffic. Excuse me. Let me get this water here. I'm coughing in. Hold on. There were traffic jams and people there, events going on. You were always late, but there was always someone from somewhere else that was interesting that would sit and talk to me. And I would say, you know, where are you from? They might talk to me and ask me things about Orlando, Florida. And I would ask, I said, well, where are you from? Oh, I am from Singapore. Really? You know what I hear about Singapore? That it is the cleanest place on earth. It's yes, it is clean. I said, I don't mean to be too nosy, but you're here visiting, or is it some type of function? Oh, we're having a convention here. People all over the world are coming here that are into IT. Really? And my company paid for me to come here. So you start to expand your mind just from conversation on the same streets. And I was honestly never mentally quarantined. My parents wouldn't allow that. So I was always open to the possibilities beyond what you saw there. Beyond that, never let your mind become limited. And what I learned working in prisons and jails is that you may have had people there, whether they were innocent or not, but they were physically detained. But some of them would pass the time with hearsay and card games and foolishness and fights and different things. And you always had, if you had a 20-man unit, there were always 2 or 3 who were reading books. There were always 2 or 3 that, although they may have had 15 years to spend in there, they were planning for when they were getting out. And we would have the most engaging discussions. And I would come outside. Sometimes, you go to Walmart, you go to Target, you're in the line, and you're in front of people or behind people who you hear their conversations. And here they are walking around free. So they think, but their mind is mentally quarantined. And the things they think about, the things they talk about, let you know that they're limited. Now, you can't get that much of a person, know all about them. But in 3 minutes, if you're in a long line, 5 minutes, whatever, and they're yapping on the phone, and you could see the whole circumference of their actions and what they're interested in, you already know. You know that term? When you see it, you're like, I already know. And you see them 10 years from now, and you see they've gotten nowhere in their life. They were quarantined, and fear was injected into their subconscious mind. So even when they were physically free, they were afraid to make a leap. And it doesn't mean you have to change things every day and leapfrog from one job to the next. But when you're on a job, it affords you a character reference from you performing your job. So the fact that I was always on time, clean, my eyes clear when I was driving the bus, I'm not hungover, I was professional, never disrespectful to the young ladies. And they began to say, hey, there's more to this guy than meets the eye. What are you into? You're a little different. And I would share things that I would do online, and it exploded. And so opportunities came out of that. Well, Lance, I'm an administrator at this particular college, and I'd like for you to come by and speak and teach a class on social media. But according to the other guy, I ain't nothing but a bus driver. Never limit your value because you're mentally quarantined. There's going to come a day, trust me, when those who look like us, they'll make up an excuse because we're the old tool that has no use for them anymore. And now many of us are lost. We can only validate ourselves according to how we are of use to the system that hates us. So if they're not using us anymore, a lot of us are walking around, well, I can't find no job in the system. Then make one. If the world has a demand that employed you from someone who doesn't look like you, and if you are making X amount of dollars, a weakening, diminishing dollar, get it while you can, then what were they making? And if you running their stuff, why can't you do it independently, even if it's on a lower level? I knew this dude who had an employment agency, and he lived on Crown Street in Brooklyn, where my cousin lived. My cousin's deceased. She was an older woman. But it was right down the block. So there was a young lady who was going to this employment agency. She had to bring her paperwork, and she was looking for work. And I learned a lesson that day. She said, Lance, I wasn't dating her or anything, but she wanted to hang out in Manhattan with me afterwards. See, what are you doing? Can we hang out a little bit? I like hanging out with you. I said, sure, I'm free. I have nothing to do. I ain't got no curfew. Let's go. But she said, we got to pass through Brooklyn first. I said, I love exploring. When I'm free, I'm a free spirit. That's why I have so many daggone stories. So we took the A train, and we took another bus to come down closer to where Crown Street was. And we went to this employment agency. I'm looking for a building. I didn't know the people were living like down the block. I thought it was a couple blocks away where they had bigger buildings, like office buildings. It's not a crime to say that this was a Jewish man because a lot of Jews lived in the neighborhood. But it was a Jewish man who ran an employment agency out of his garage. Not a garage that was renovated, a junkie garage. I'm like, what the heck? And she was thinking the same thing too. We looked at each other like, what kind of jacked up situation is this? The dude took our paperwork, or not our, but her paperwork, processed it through, and said that he was going to call her later or Monday, because this was a Saturday, Friday or Saturday, weekend was up on us, so we were in it. And she possibly would receive a call on Monday to start work on Tuesday. Like, what? So why can't we do that? Why can't we set up? I'm not saying just that, but we have to use our brains, but we're only mentally quarantined. So many of us, well, I'm gonna be a rapper when I get older. I'm gonna drop me a mixtape, man. I gotta hook up with 50 Cent, man, through my other friend. Or I'm gonna be the best basketball player in the world. I'm gonna be the best boxer in the world. Why do we have to do just things that are set out for us where somebody else gets more money in their pocket from our efforts until we have an injury or until we get shot? Do we get shot like that? No. When you go into this whole rap thing today, you got to be effeminate or you have to be hyper masculine and hyper sexual and extremely testosteronized as a black man. Because if you're not effeminate, you have to come off like the term I despise when you have these single ads and men are putting out about themselves and they say, I'm a well-hung black man. And you proud of it because of what you got between your legs, but look at the terminology. And think about the history back in the days when we were enslaved. And that's all you can be, because if you were tall and muscular and was hanging down to your knee, oh boy, you could have fun out there. Master was going to use you to breed, you heavyweight champion looking fool. So you can get all the women you want and get all the pleasure you want. And Master approves of that the same way he does today. That we can impregnate as many women as we can and have all the pleasure we want. But when you can't pay your child support, you get locked up, quarantined, and detained because it's a crime now. But now he can benefit from that. You're locked up. You're working for pennies on the dollar, making license plates or whatever it is they have you do, cutting the lawns out there by the highway with your orange jumpsuit, and you got the ankle bracelets around so you can't run. Homeboy sitting there with a big belly, correction officer with a big rifle, looking at his phone. You're like, yeah, I hope he looks at something good so I can run away. But you dare not do that. See, they have us already corralled in, and we accept it. And while I do believe there'll be a reason to quarantine us for whatever reason, or the bioweaponry that they have designed for us, we're doing a real good job of quarantining ourselves. We're doing a real good job of making a mockery of the seeds of greatness that our Creator gave to us. But yet and still, we accept that as normalcy. And there's not one melanated person on this planet who was created to be mediocre. But because somebody else's standards for us are so low, and we accept being quarantined, and we get the check, we get the money for the job that we do in his system, but we don't challenge ourselves to say, let's go higher. Let's build something great for our people. We don't have that vision because of that smartphone stuck in our face. The smartphone that brings us into being so dumb. Technology, the way it sounds, technology. Take knowledge. Take the potential knowledge that's in your head that's dying to get out to benefit you and titillate you with decadence. So you put the knowledge down because this other stuff I'm seeing, boy, look at that girl backside. Ooh, that thing looks sweet. It's a natural desire. but amplified and taken out of context, processed. We all like something sweet sometime. But these sugary corn syrup laced high fructose corn syrup stuff that's in the neighborhoods where we live in is making us obese. But it tastes good. We'll stop drinking it tomorrow, and every day you drink it, you're bombarding your pancreas, your body, your ability to stabilize your sugar. And that's why we're walking around so young, overweight, with sugar diabetes. It's like we just can't win. But if we break from the limitations put on us, on the sinfully sweet indulgences and visuals and fantasies that titillate our hormones, we're already frustrated, most of us, even when we make money. And so what's the easiest thing to distract us? Having sex. You might not be making any money as a man, and she's frustrated because you're not making the money. But for that night, you're not even doing it because you're celebrating your love. It's out of frustration because it feels good only for a time, and you bring another life into the world, and now how you going to take care of it? See, if you weren't thinking about using pleasure to escape responsibility, or just the pleasure and not thinking about responsibility, you could have planned something. Say, listen, sister, let's be careful with what we do. Now, if you want to go ahead and do some other things, hey, we all know what to do. But let's make a plan. We're here now. Let's get that step ladder and go a little higher to peek up on what's on the other shelves over us that we don't see. We know they have us corralled off. We know that we're stereotyped. We know that the world sees us a certain way because some of us have put ourselves out that way, and they don't think nothing of us. They don't mind us being that way as long as we don't bring that nigger crap to our neighborhoods. And they drive through our neighborhoods. It's like jungle habitat, where folks drive their cars through a safari, where you see lions and tigers and all types of predatory things, hyenas and snakes. And, oh, mommy, look at that lion over there. Oh, mommy, is that a crackhead? Oh, mommy, is that a cheetah? No, son, that's a prostitute. Most black women, when they find themselves in financial dire needs, are hookers. Now, I'm not saying that. But if you cut on the TV, that's what you're going to think. You see what I mean? And this is why in their communities, or they know how to come around ours, all we can do for them is offer them pleasure, labor, hard work for them, or pleasure for them, or entertain them and make them laugh. Now wipe the grease, paint off, take your bow, and let the curtain fall, and go back to your neighborhood, or hood, as we like to call it. This world is a twisted place the way they have it set up. And the only thing is that we can do is use the power of our minds and break the shackles over our minds. Think beyond the limitations and know that you can do anything that you desire to do. But if you can't think it, if you can't visualize it, it's never going to happen. So we have to keep the minds limited. We'll let a few become successful because they'll be the Pied Piper that leads all the other ones to think that they can be the best basketball player in the world. But ain't nobody saying you can't be the best eye doctor in the world, right? We want to be the ones in front of the lights because, we have this esteem issue and we like to be seen. It's so easy to achieve success in so many areas where we are needed. Look in your neighborhood. It may not be in your neighborhood, but look where you go when you need something. Like I said, eye doctor, you need some glasses. Well, the eye doctor's getting paid. Why don't you shoot for that? NASA, rocket ships and things. Why don't you study that? They get paid well. I know an individual who lives in Texas who works for NASA. He flies back and forth. Brilliant man. Taught me a whole lot. So me doing this online, I could be going out in Africa. These women out here got shapes that you won't believe. I can make a booty page. Now, why would I do that? I'd get to 1 million subscribers quick. And YouTube would pay me well. But why would I exploit my sisters in that way? Right? So we got to do things that are edifying, that stabilize our community, that bring respect to us. Because until then, we'll be a useless tool at the beck and call of one who uses us, and they damn sure don't like us. Much love to you all. I'm heading out now. I'll be back later on with Neil Frazier. It'll be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that he comes on. I haven't created the link yet, but it'll be there. I'm going to make it soon. But we have to have these discussions. For some, it may be boring. It's okay, because I'm not always boring. But we're running out of time to be dealing with the foolishness. This world is changing, people are advancing, and it seems like we only have a few slots of minstrel men and minstrel women to show the world how foolish we can be. While our communities crumble, while our children have less opportunities, and they engineer us into a state of nothingness. Much love to you all. Like, share, and subscribe. LANCESCURV out. I love you all. Peace.
So, hello, this is Martha. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, he's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just him, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to LANCESCURV. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.